militancy, but blacks in general, and in most of the other counties, such as Sacramento County, San Mateo County, and these around town. At any rate, the second motion is going to be argued sometime in about the next week and a half. It's the most important of the motions that has been argued so far. Where in this case being tried. One of the remember that article, which he tried in a very objective way, what he must have felt was a very objective way, to suggest that, gee, George had all kinds of terrible convictions around him, and that was about all he could get in the way of guilt. Well, these kinds of articles are no doubt now going to begin to appear about Hugo Cornell and Luis Talamante, Steve Rumbo, and the rest. I think that it should be undertaken as a responsibility of people that have been active.
It's why we're wandering around in the states and sleeping there in Michigan to start replica, with the only exception being that it kicks into its longer, higher, and wider. It's a two-man cell which George Jackson spent 10 years, and in which there's... Give me a C! Give me a K! Conn San Quentin! I would like to introduce somebody who probably needs no introduction to you, the Congress of Wonders.
This contains enactments of illegal acts. No enjoy.
Some of the men who were in the penitentiary with me. And I try to study out how those men happened to get there. Because according to statistics of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, which I've compiled for particular purposes, about 5,500,000 of what they call major crimes are committed each year in the United States. Now, the major crimes that they're talking about are limited to these 8: murders, rape, robberies, burglaries, arson, auto theft, and larceny of over $50. They don't include in them at all the millions and millions of white-collar crimes, the fraud that accompanies sales of stock, business transactions, all the sort of things by which people are robbed and defrauded without violence. And there are millions of such things, millions of violations of the Sherman Antitrust Act and things of that kind. Throughout the United States, in all the penitentiaries, state and federal, are about 80,000 people. So these 80,000 people represent a minuscule proportion of the people who have committed major crimes in the United States. Now, why are these 80,000 selected? Well, obviously, because in the great majority of cases, they're the poor. They're the people who cannot afford competent lawyers. They're the people who have no political influences that they can bear to get them probation or get them out of prison at any kind of a decent and opportune time. And a great number of the persons in prison are now black. And the reason for that is obvious, too. The black people are the poorest people, and they're the ones who have the least chance of being properly represented when they are apprehended. So that in the recent episode at Attica, in which the multimillionaire governor of New York caused a massacre of the unfortunate inhabitants of that place, over 70% of the people in it are black. So that these 80,000 people now represent some sort of a palliative to the conscience of the people who don't get caught. In the book of Deuteronomy, it is prescribed that Aaron and his successors in the priesthood of Israel shall at particular times select a goat, and they shall impose upon that goat all the sins of the people of Israel and send it out into the desert, into the wilderness. And that's what happens to the 80,000 people who are in the prisons acting as the goats, the people who are carrying the sins of the entire community. And where do these people get the idea that they can engage in robbery, arson, larceny over $50? Well, they have the most authentic kind of authority for it, because the whole history of the United States and by violence. If you want the tin and the rubber of Southeast Asia, you ship in 500,000 troops to get it. If you want oil in Venezuela, unemployment, but this idea trickles down to the poor, so they get the notion if that is the way that it is done, if that is the way that the respected and the best people get their money, why can't we? So they go out and they use the same method. What is it like in prison? I'm not going to tell you about that because you probably know it already. But it hasn't changed much since a long time ago when Oscar Wilde wrote his magnificent poem, The Ballad of Reading Gaol. He had spent 2 years in there. He was a humanitarian.